Sometimes the biggest stories in the NFL are not about touchdowns or game-winning drives, but about the moments that happen away from the field. This time, the spotlight is on a surprising development that caught the attention of fans across the league. When the news broke involving former Kansas City Chiefs cornerback Trent McDuffie, it didn't take long for people to start wondering how his former teammates would react, especially Chiefs superstar Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes has now broken his silence after the unexpected move that is already making waves across the NFL. McDuffie, who had become one of the most reliable defenders for the Kansas City Chiefs, suddenly found himself at the center of a massive deal involving the Los Angeles Rams. The move means Mahomes and McDuffie will no longer share the same locker room, a reality that brought mixed emotions for many Chiefs fans. But while the trade marks the end of an important chapter in Kansas City, it also represents a huge personal victory for McDuffie. The talented cornerback has just secured one of the biggest contracts ever given to a defensive back in NFL history. It's the kind of moment that reflects years of dedication, hard work, and consistent performance at the highest level of the sport. For many players around the league, reaching the NFL is about much more than achieving a lifelong dream. It often represents the opportunity to change the future for themselves and their families. Financial security, stability, and long-term success are powerful motivations behind many of the biggest career decisions players make. In McDuffie's case, that dream has now turned into reality in historic fashion. After proving himself as a key piece of the Chiefs' defense, he has now landed a deal that places him among the most valuable players at his position. The Rams made their intentions clear by acquiring McDuffie and immediately locking him into a 4-year contract worth an incredible $124 million. Including $100 million guaranteed. The size of the deal quickly caught the attention of fans and analysts across the NFL. With that agreement, McDuffie officially becomes the highest-paid cornerback in the history of the league. Before this deal, the market for top cornerbacks had already been rising. Players like Sauce Gardner and Derek Stingley Jr. were among the highest earners at the position, making around $30 to $31 million per season. McDuffie's contract now pushes that number even higher and shows just how valuable elite defensive backs have become in today's pass-heavy NFL. In the modern game, teams rely heavily on strong defensive secondaries to slow down explosive offenses and elite quarterbacks. Because of that, shutdown cornerbacks have become some of the most valuable players on the defensive side of the ball. The Rams clearly recognized that value and decided to invest heavily in McDuffie, making him a cornerstone piece for their defense moving forward. It's a major commitment from the organization and a clear sign that they believe he can play a huge role in their plans for the future. What makes the situation even more surprising is the decision made by the Chiefs themselves. McDuffie was approaching the final stretch of his rookie contract, and the team still had the option to activate his 5th-year option, which would have paid him around $13.6 million for another season in Kansas City. That option would have allowed the Chiefs to keep him on the roster while deciding on a long-term extension. Instead, the organization chose a different route and decided to trade him to the Rams. In return, Kansas City received the 29th overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft along with additional selections, including 5th and 6th round picks and a 3rd round pick in the 2027 Draft. From a strategic standpoint, that package gives the Chiefs more flexibility moving forward. Draft picks are extremely valuable assets for teams that want to continue building depth and developing young talent for the future. However, trades like this are not just about numbers and strategy. They can also be emotional for players who shared the field together. That became clear when Mahomes reacted shortly after the news became public. The Chiefs quarterback took to social media and posted a short but emotional message that quickly caught the attention of fans. His reaction simply read, "Damn, new." Even though the message was brief, it said a lot about how unexpected the move was for players inside the locker room. Mahomes' response showed that McDuffie was more than just a teammate. He was part of a defensive unit that helped define the team's identity over the past seasons. Moments like this remind fans that behind every trade and contract negotiation, there are real friendships and relationships between players. While front offices make decisions based on salary cap management, roster balance, and long-term planning, the players themselves often experience those changes on a much more personal level. Despite the initial surprise, Mahomes and several other teammates were also quick to congratulate McDuffie once the details of the contract became clear. Chiefs wide receiver Xavier Worthy was among those celebrating the cornerback's achievement. Securing a contract of that magnitude is a life-changing moment for any player and a reward for years of dedication to the game. During his time in Kansas City, McDuffie built a reputation as one of the most consistent defenders on the roster. His performance on the field shows exactly why teams around the league value him so highly. Over his time with the Chiefs, he recorded 246 total tackles, 12 tackles for loss, and 34 pass breakups. He also added 3 interceptions and 5.5 sacks, numbers that highlight his versatility as a defensive playmaker. Those statistics show that McDuffie was not simply a cornerback focused only on coverage. He contributed in multiple areas of the defense, helping against both the pass and the run while also showing the ability to pressure the quarterback when needed. Players who can impact the game in several ways are extremely valuable, which explains why the Rams were willing to commit such a significant contract to bring him to Los Angeles. For the Rams, the move fits perfectly with their goal of strengthening the roster and returning to championship contention. In a league where elite offenses continue to dominate, having a strong secondary is essential for any team hoping to compete at the highest level. By adding a proven and still relatively young cornerback like McDuffie, the Rams are clearly trying to reinforce their defense and prepare for the challenges that come with facing the league's best quarterbacks. At the same time, this situation also reflects a broader trend that has become increasingly common across the NFL. The days when players spent their entire careers with one franchise are becoming rare. Free agency, trades, and record-breaking contracts have transformed the business side of football, forcing teams to constantly adjust their rosters while players seek opportunities that provide long-term security. In the end, even though the Chiefs and the Rams are moving in different directions with this decision, the outcome remains a positive one for Trent McDuffie. He leaves Kansas City after proving himself as one of the team's most dependable defenders and now begins a new chapter with a historic contract that secures his future in the league. For Mahomes, the reaction was simple but genuine. Seeing a respected teammate leave is never easy, but watching that same teammate achieve a milestone like this is something worth celebrating. And moments like these remind fans that football is not just about wins and losses, but also about the journeys players take and the opportunities they earn along the way.